Broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Let me start that again because I seem to have had myself muted. Folks, I'm so glad to see everyone here this evening. Uh, it's my joy, my gift to you, especially today because we're just a week away from Mother's Day. So I especially want to wish all of the women here on the call this evening a happy Mother's Day. I have an interesting view of Mother's Day, never having had children myself, and kind of looking at all of my students all over the world, a little bit like my children, as well as the puppies that I raise. I raise Pekingese pups, they're my kids. So I have never had human babies, but I have all of my human students, and I have all of my furry babies. And so I kind of broaden the whole concept of Mother's Day to include everything in our lives that we are nurturing and caring for and giving birth to. And, I haven't quite expanded this concept to include men yet because you guys get Father's Day, so that's your day. But nevertheless, if you are a nurturer of someone or something in your life, whether you gave birth to that being or not, you are the mother energy to whoever that is. So all of you women on the call this evening, I want to wish you an early happy Mother's Day. I'm all excited about it myself. I just absolutely love celebrations, and this is one of my favorites. Meanwhile, tonight we're going to get on with our psychic hour. I want to thank you all for being here. We're going to have so much fun. We have a lot of people who are new on the call this evening. I've been looking through the names as I was sitting here waiting for the clock to strike the hour and get things started. And I'm really wanting to welcome, especially all of the new people, and also to welcome all of my return listeners. Folks, I do this every month because it's my joy. I love it. I enjoy it. And I find, frankly, meeting with all of you incredibly stimulating. So do my guides. And so I'm going to keep doing these things for free as long as I possibly can, which is going to be a long time. And I'm very grateful to all of you for continuing to come and join this very exciting opportunity. Now, I want to talk a little bit about some of my upcoming things. I call that housekeeping. And I've got some good things happening that I want to share with you before we get started with the actual psychic hour. So first off, you will have seen my ads going out recently, my letters, some of them very informative about the tarot. I am running a very rare tarot class special. It's 20% off right now. If you take levels 1 and levels 2, it's a certification process. Level 1 is all about how to read the cards. Level 2 is an advanced professional level tarot. That ad just went out today. I am aware there's a little bit of difficulty trying to figure out how to pay for it. Okay, I was so interested in getting it set up and sent out, I kind of neglected some of those important details. But we will have that straightened out by the beginning of the week. And meanwhile, if you haven't registered for the Tarot Level 1 and it interests you, you want to learn how to read these wonderful little guys, the tarot cards, well, just go to my website, sandyanastasi.com. And if you scroll all the way down on that front page, you're going to come to a section that's talking about all about the tarot class that's coming up, and there'll be a click here if you want to get the downloadable PDF. Well, click there, get the PDF, and it's going to give you a place that you can register for Tarot Level 1. And that'll teach you how to read the tarot cards. Now, my May special is tied into that. So, folks, I'm doing something that's really unusual for me this May. Usually, I only offer this special reading at a great discount to my psychic development students. I do a reading, consultation, coaching call, really. It's taking your astrology chart, working with my guides and your guides, and really breaking down what your psychic skills and abilities are, how to best access them, how to trigger them, what blocks you might have to them, how to release those blocks. So we really get into how to develop you as a psychic. And that it's a very special session. And I'm offering that to my people who buy the tarot class for 20% off. So the two things are kind of tied together. But if you have bought or are buying that tarot class, please inquire about that special reading as well, which is going to be 20% off, which brings it down to a really nice rate for getting a reading with me. Okay, so those are my two specials for this month. I also want you to put on a back burner, folks. I have a long waiting list of people every year who are literally online for when I'm going to teach my Kabbalah Pathworking class again. I only do it once a year. In fact, not always even once a year. And that class is coming up. I'm going to be teaching it in July. So please, if you haven't signed up for my newsletter, sign up for it, because that'll get you on the list to get the discount rate for that class when it comes out, which is going to be very soon. And if you want to raise your consciousness, if you want to really learn about who you are at the core, connect to your higher self, your guides, unfold your psychic skills and abilities over a 6-month-long period with me as your guide on a journey that will change your life, then you really want to sign up for that Kabbalah class, which happens to be unbelievably inexpensive. You'll pardon me, I don't seem to recall the numbers. My guides don't remember numbers. Don't you love that? So Lisa knows how much that class is, and since she's in our chat room, she can put that price down. Okay, it's for what you're getting, it's just unbelievably inexpensive. I teach the Kabbalah mostly because it's such a joy to teach, and I do hope that anyone here who's interested in their own evolution will join me in that class this year. It begins the Wednesday following the 4th of July. That's when it's going to begin. Okay, so you have a target date for registering for that. The Tarot is a home study class. The Kabbalah Pathworking is a combination of home study, but it's very easy, not in depth, and in person, connecting with me online. In both classes, you get to join a Facebook group, and I and Lisa both interact directly with you through the Facebook group, and also in our online class through the question and answer section that comes with the class. So you get a lot of support in these classes, folks. And I think that's it. Yeah, those are my announcements. Oh, my most important announcement. Please write June 30th on your calendar, because that's our next psychic hour. Okay? Now, before we get started, I always like to say that I do as many mini readings on people as I possibly can fit into these psychic hours. But unfortunately, it's just not possible to get to everyone who's on the call. Nevertheless, please listen carefully, because my guides and your guides are connecting. It's not just through the internet. It's literally over the universal psychic World Wide Web. Okay? The World Wide Psychic Web. We connect. And so while I'm answering someone else's question, my guides are going to sneak in your answers. And so if you're listening to what everybody else is talking about, you're going to get what you called in for right here on this call tonight. Nevertheless, those of you who don't have a chance to get a direct interaction with me, I always say that I'll give you 24 hours until 9 p.m. tomorrow evening to send me one simple question. And it may take me a week to get to it. Give me a little bit of time, but I will answer it. Okay, and where do you send that question to? You can send it to lisasayink@aol.com, or you can send it to the address that's right here on this webinar. I also want to make sure you know that only applies to people who are here on the live call who don't get to ask a live question. Okay? Now here's how you're asking the questions happens. Lisa, my assistant, lovely, lovely lady, is in the chat room with you. And so she is going to be picking who is going to get to ask questions. Or if you type your question into the chat room, many times she can answer it herself. And if she doesn't answer it herself, well, she'll shoot it through to me if she feels it's got universal appeal, so everybody would want to hear that. And I will answer your question even though you only typed it in. So there are two ways of asking questions. You can raise your hand and get called on, or you can type your question into the chat room. And Lisa's the one in charge of who gets to ask those questions. Now, when you get called on, here's what I want to know. I'd like to know your name, first of all. I'd like to know where you're calling from. That's just because it's so much fun. I get people from all over the planet, and it's really fun to know where you're calling from. And I'd like to know, third, what you are most grateful for in your life right now. My friends, gratitude is something that all of us at this time in our human development seem to have difficulty remembering to have. You know, we're all involved with the rat race and life struggle, and we're always forward looking and moving for that next step. And so often we forget to look at what's in our lives right now in this moment that's so wonderful and have a sense of gratitude about it. And becoming aware of the things that are good in our life is so important because we're creating our world with our thoughts every single moment. Therefore, starting to establish a pattern of thinking that contains gratitude is so important because it helps you to be happier with your life and to create a still better life in the future. Okay? So, your name, where you're calling from, what you're most grateful for, then I want your sun sign. And if you don't know your sun sign, just the date you were born, and then I'll tell you your sun sign. And after that, you get to ask your personal question. Thank you so much for giving me that moment to introduce a lot of my old people who've been here forever, come back month after month, will already have heard that spiel, but it's new to the new people. And so thanks for being patient and listening again, folks. Lisa, who is my first victim this evening?
All righty. First victim tonight is Lily W. Lily, you are unmuted.
Hello? Lily, is it possible that you're muted on your own side? Because Lisa has unmuted you, but I'm not hearing you. Hello, Lily? Lily? Lisa, I think we're going to have to give Lily some time to figure out how to unmute her mic and maybe move on to the next person that you had in mind.
All righty. Then the first victim is going to be Amy. Amy, you're unmuted.
Hi.
Hi there, Amy.
How are you?
Oh, I'm great. How are you tonight?
I'm doing great. Let me turn off my foot machine. I don't want anyone hearing that. Hey, I have a question. And last time you gave me great information on my career and doing cookbooks and all of that. And this time around, I want to ask, I'm going through I am approved to get Social Security disability insurance, and I'm very grateful. And I do need it. Yet,
Amy, can I please walk you back a couple of steps, okay? And then we'll get to all this wonderful information. We know your name. Where are you calling from, Amy?
Oh, I'm calling from San Diego.
Wonderful, beautiful, sunny place to be. And we know you're most grateful about the Social Security coming in because you just told us. Yeah,
Yes.
I can relate to that. And what's your sun sign, Amy?
Leo, August 5th.
Okay, so here you are up here in the 9th house in this chart. Now just give me a moment, so hold your thought, because I'm going to talk a little bit about Leo for a moment, okay? Folks, if you are a Leo, or an Aquarian, or a Taurus, or a Scorpio, you're what we call a fixed sign. So what I'm about to say is going to relate to all of those fixed signs, but it's most specific for Leo, so everybody pay attention. First off, you may very well be thinking about making a move, okay, or doing some traveling or visiting some relatives. You also, because Leo is ruled by the sun, and here's that sun over here, you're thinking about your health and your well-being, and you're thinking about the man in your life and if he's going to like the plans that you're making or not. Okay? The people that you're making plans around, and you're looking towards your future with the eye of, I'm getting this term, traveling, moving forward. Now, that travel could be spiritually, it could be with your mind through higher education or studying a new religion or philosophy of life, but it also could very well be traveling like in a plane somewhere, in a boat, or moving your residence, or even renovating your residence. Okay? Leos are going to be going through some very interesting things coming up during the summer. Okay, now what's your specific question? Let's get to what you were talking about.
Okay, I applied. I got my Social Security disability insurance approved last week, and I was so overwhelmed. And would you believe I said, I have to think about this if this is the right thing to do. And I left there and I thought, what am I thinking? And it was just overwhelming to me. And I just thought, I want to make sure all my accounts are properly reported. I did this back in August, and I was just kind of blown away. And I just thought, put my foot in my mouth, yet I want to do the right thing. And I'm beating myself up because I want to call them tomorrow and make sure all my accounts are in good order and everything is true and correct, and I can absolutely receive this. And if I'm not meant to, I surrender. But I was stunned, and I was a little overwhelmed because my mother died from knee surgery, and my dad had gout when I was growing up all the time, and my sister had ligament surgery, and my knees and my wrists are looking a little sad.
Well, let me interrupt you for a moment because I'm laughing to myself. My guides are laughing, and every Leo on the call is laughing to themselves because you really are such a Leo. Okay?
Thank you.
Here you are following the rules, wanting to make sure you've been offered the world, okay? Here's the sun, ruler of Leo, in the house of health. You're being handed something which is very important to you. Please shut the phone off, okay? And yet, you're asking yourself, why are you so hesitant about moving forward on this? Okay, and that's really what your question is. The first part of that question is easy. You realize that in all these years of working and struggling and pulling all these things together, whatever it is you've been doing to support yourself, guess what? This has become your identity. So here you're looking at the potential, the possibility of a real retirement, a real life change, a real life shift. But it's not just a shift in terms of finances getting easier, or even more importantly, having health coverage that's kind of guaranteed. How nice is that? Medicare, wow. The thing is that your identity is so connected to what you have been doing that you're having trouble making the shift. You see what this is? Between who you were and who you want to become. And you've wanted this for so long, but now that it's here, you're afraid to let go of what you know as secure because that's who you've always been. It's like, who am I going to be when the world changes? Isn't that interesting? Well,
You're so right.
Yeah, guess what? It's not about the world. It's about you, you see. You're afraid that if you take that, and I'm sorry to get into the nitty gritty here, folks, but you're afraid that if you take that Social Security disability, that now you're going to have the label, and you can't, if things get tough and tight, you can't ever go back to work again. You might not have enough money. So here money is being offered to you, and you're afraid to take it because you might not have enough. You see how all this works? And you're also afraid of having, you're a Leo, the stigma, Social Security, disability. Uh-oh, I'm going to be labeled disabled. What if I don't want to be disabled? Okay? These are
Yeah.
going through your subconscious mind. Then you're looking at all this family history and your brother and your sister, and well, that could be me. And guess what? Isn't it time to just get your brain out of the way, get everybody else's expectations out of the way, get what you were taught and told all of your life by everybody else who wasn't in your situation out of the way, and listen to your own heart. Listen to your innermost feeling. And doesn't it say, isn't there that sense of relief?
Oh, yeah.
Well, what should you be doing?
I should go back in there tomorrow and say, I just want to check in on my accounts, make sure everything's in good order. And I am so grateful that I'm receiving it. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
And, you know, just a little wake-up call was I was going down Park Boulevard in San Diego, and a homeless man was walking across the street innocently enough, and then all of a sudden he started twirling like a tornado, and he was coming right at me. And I was like, oh my gosh, if he hits me, I don't even have the time to bend down on the ground and save myself. He could have walloped me, and then I would have been, and wasn't smart enough to say, thank you, SSDI, even though it's still in good order right now, but I thought I would be a fool.
Yeah.
The universe, you really hit me over the head to say, yes, thank you.
Good girl. So you're noticing. And that's another thing is when it's time for you to make a life change, a life shift, the universe always gives us those pointers. It truly does. Folks, I'm going to jump back into the astrology for a moment. And what I'm about to say is going to be affecting all the fixed signs. That's the Leos, the Taurians, the Scorpios, and the Aquarians. And my friends, because an astrology chart contains all these houses, there are 12 of them, and all these planets, there are 10 different planets I work with, guess what? Every one of us has some planets in those fixed signs. And most recently, this past spring, the planet Uranus, here he is right down here, see my cursor? That planet Uranus has moved into Taurus, a fixed sign. And it is now activating all of those fixed signs for change, for growth, for evolution. It's dynamic, it's intense. And folks, all of you, if you are one of those 4 fixed signs, or like the rest of us, you may not be that as far as your sun, but you're going to have some influence there. You're going to get lots of opportunities over this next 7.5 years. That's how long Uranus will be in Taurus. And those opportunities will largely affect your finances, what you're planning to do with your, guess what, no matter how old you are, with your will, your longevity, all the things that have to do with your health, because Scorpio is involved. Scorpio deals with energetic healing. And it's going to affect what you want to do for your career and where you want your children and your grandchildren to go. It's so interesting because Uranus is a ruler of Aquarius, and Aquarius is a fixed sign. So it's completely changing the dynamic, you see, of all these fixed signs for the next 7.5 years. And you're going to get one opportunity after another. And the important thing to do, and this is hard for a fixed sign, is to try and get a finger in every pie that comes along. But don't make a firm commitment to anything. You got that? Try it out first. So put a finger in that pie, check it out, but leave yourself options so that you can do other things as well. Okay? And that, Amy, is also a really good suggestion for you. Go ahead, get that Social Security disability. Meanwhile, find out how much money extra am I allowed to make? And after so many years, or how many years I'm on it, can I make more? Find out, do your homework, do your research. Find out everything you can about that, because it's going to give you a lot of options. And this is for all you fixed people, a lot of opportunities for creating the life you want to live in the future. You have to take every opportunity, no, but you owe it to yourself to try them all out, because some of them are going to be fabulous. Okay? And you fixed signs don't like change, but change is coming. I can guarantee it. Amy, thanks so much. That was a good one. I wish you much luck.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, and who's our next caller?
Well, Lily thinks maybe she has her mic fixed, so we're going to try her again. Lily, you are unmuted.
Hi, Sandy. Hi, Lisa.
Yes.
Can you hear me? Okay, good. Finally got to connect with you guys, and I'm so grateful to be here today. My name's Lily, and I'm from Vancouver, Canada. And I'm a Sagittarian.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
And my
go ahead.
Chris,
Let's
yeah,
talk a little bit about Sagittarius first, okay?
yeah,
In this chart, we find Sagittarius most of the whole first house. So all of you Sagittarians right now, you're thinking about yourself, and you should be, okay? You're kind of, I'm going to use the term coming out of the closet, but I don't necessarily mean that in terms of being gay or straight. Something in your life you're coming out of the closet about. It's like if you're involved with dabbling in psychic things, you're letting people know. If you're dealing with some financial investments, you're starting to come out in a bigger way with them. Whatever it is that you've been kind of dabbling with behind the scenes, you're saying, okay, it's time to say, this is me. This is who I'm going to be in the future. This is what I want. Okay. And also, you Sagittarians, and now I'm talking about Sagittarius, Geminis, Virgos, and Pisces, the 4 mutable signs in the zodiac. You're getting ready to make some big, dynamic career moves. They're important. And there's a real strong need to really dot the I's and cross the T's and pay attention to the details right now. And that's not always your strong point, Sagittarius, okay? The only one of the signs, the mutable signs that's really good at that is Virgo. And even you're not always great at doing it. So right now, if you're a mutable sign, slow yourself down a little bit so you don't overlook the details. Meanwhile, this whole month, look at this, Jupiter's 23 degrees. It's opposed by Mars at 23 degrees. You are like poised right now to be shot out of a cannon. Haven't you noticed the tension building, the incredible intensity of every single thing you're involved with around you? You are getting ready to go pow and move forward into whatever that thing is that you have been silently, secretly thinking about launching and wanting to do and wanting to be. Okay, go for it.
that's it seems like exactly happening for me. What exactly happening? Yeah, my my thanks is how I am grateful to see life opens another amazing door for me by spiritual awakening. And my question for the day is, I just kind of like to get some general guidance for the spiritual path that on my in the future.
I'm about to talk about something that may be a little bit uncomfortable for you. If it is,
Okay.
say stop. That's all you've got to say, and I will stop. Okay? And this doesn't just pertain to you, Lily. This is going to pertain to all those mutable signs that we're talking to tonight, you included, most specifically to Gemini and Sagittarius, but all the mutable signs. Home life is changing. Your personal relationship is changing. You are going through a inner and outer transformation. There is a divorce here. Now, is that divorce because the partner in your life is passing or leaving, or because your emotions are changing or shifting? Is it because your work dynamic is changing and you're no longer on the same page with something? There are many different ways that a divorce, that term, can happen between two people. What's showing up dynamically for you, Lily, is that you are going through that divorce, but guess what? It's from someone you've already been divorced from, but you're going through the final release of it. Isn't that neat? Okay, so here you're talking about the spiritual awakening, the spiritual journey that you want to be on. And my guides are pointing out, yep, and there's been it looks like a gentleman in your past, whether it was husband, father, friend, I can't tell, but there's been a person here whose thought processes, whose way of life has been detrimental to your journey. And although you have already, you haven't let that stop you, you've already moved forward, you didn't let that stop affecting you. And now that is changing. And there are also some legal things happening here as well, where you are changing how you handle your world, your finances, and that is giving you that sense of freedom. I can move forward. And the whole thing that you're going through right now, is it emotional? Absolutely. But it's not, it's interesting. It's like this has already happened, but for you, it's already really happening right now. And it's what's going to launch you into whoever it is that you're in the process of becoming. Now, did that make sense? Do you want some more specific information, or did that hit it?
I think it rings a bell. It's actually speaking part of, well, I think about lots of things that I don't know yet, but it seems like happening in a way, or it's on the way kind of thing, situation. Yeah, I think the transformation is happening. It has been happening, and I don't know what's going to happen in the future at this point, but definitely changing.
And it's interesting the way we evolve. And this is a kind of a cool conversation for us to be having, because our life circumstances that we create through our thought projection, okay, we create what we want, but because we're constantly thinking about more things and creating more things, by the time we've created one life situation, we're already wanting something more than that or different from that. And then we find ourselves coping with the present life situation in order to shift it and morph it and transform it into something which is going to support this new thing we now want. But life doesn't work that way. What ends up happening is the distance from what we have now and what we now want causes us to grow and morph and evolve into something more than we were. I don't know if you're following what I'm saying. So what ends up happening is we have to allow ourselves to change. And if the current situation and the current relationship is able to change and morph with us, it continues. And it grows as well. And it morphs into something new and different. And it moves in the direction that both of you would want. But if it's not able to go through that shift, then very often you end up moving into two different life situations. Now, I could be talking about a husband, a father, even a career or a business here. I'm not sure what the thing is that you're going to be doing this divorce from. Only that it would not happen unless you had outgrown it. And it's the whole growth process. And sometimes we outgrow things, and sometimes those things and people grow with us. And this could happen, either one of these things. The only thing I can absolutely assure you is that next year you're going to be in a very different situation, whether it's on your own or whether it's with your current significant other and with your current job. All depends on whether or not that grows with you. Does that make sense?
Yes, but I have a question. As you say, for the divorce part, is it divorce from energy or divorce from a real person?
Okay. It is a divorce from energy more than the person. Remember what I said earlier, what my guide said, is that the actual divorce already happened.
Okay.
The person is in the past.
I
But
see.
the energy is still around you. And that's what's going to be changing. So you're shifting. When you said, what's my next step in my evolutionary journey is what you're really asking. And the next step is that this thing that has been holding you back, that was attached to that person you separated from, but not energetically, is going to come to an end. And that's going to be it's going to be kind of like the rubber band releasing.
Okay.
You might be surprised in the future to find a whole new person and a whole new situation in your life that is more amenable to this new gal that you have become and are becoming as you continue on your own spiritual journey.
Thank you very much. And also, I received a message during the night, and it asked me to talk to Sandy, you. Sandy and Anastasi. Actually, I heard the message this morning. So it's grateful to be here.
Guys, thank you. And I'm glad you came. I'm glad you're here. And, just for your information, You may already know this, but all of these are recorded and will be posted on YouTube. So you're going to be able to go back and re-listen to this because there was a lot of information in there that I think is going to be important for you to rehear.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you. Yeah.
And Lisa, who is next?
Oh, things have changed so much since you were talking, I don't even know. You had people drop off and people who couldn't hear you, and it's crazy. Let me check. Okay, that looks like a live one. I'm going to click on Karen M. I'm going to try to click on Karen. Karen, it says, there you go.
Hello.
Hello, Karen.
Hi, Sandy and Lisa.
Karen, where are you calling from?
I am calling from Ohio, and I am grateful for all you teachers out there that are sharing your wisdom with everybody. And I'm a Virgo.
Awesome. And now I'm going to ask you because I'm being nosy. I'm grateful that you are grateful for us, but I want to know what you're grateful for in your personal life.
Well, since Mother's Day is coming up for my mother-in-law, and that I am a mother.
Awesome. I love it. Me too. Me too. One of my favorite holidays of the year. And something else I want to just share is that now I'm not trying to get maudlin on you folks, but I want to point something out. Over the last few years, I've lost my physical mother, a couple of mother-in-laws. I've lost my sister, who really was my mother. She's the one who brought me up. And have come to an understanding of how incredibly important all of these women who have mothered me over the years were in my life, even when I didn't know it. So I'm in agreement with Karen. Please, folks, cherish your mothers. Even if you don't get along with them, cherish them. They're special people in your world. Cherish them.
Yes, they are. Thank you.
Yeah, so thank you. That was just wonderful, and it gave me little chills, made me feel good, so thank you. And Karen, since you are a Virgo, you already heard what I said about all the mutable signs at great length, okay? So I'm not going to go over all of that.
Sounded like you were talking to me.
Yeah. What I want to add, though, is that Virgo is, out of all the mutable signs in tonight's horary chart, that's what this astrology chart is. It's a chart for everyone on the call tonight. After tonight, we throw it away. It's only good for you, nobody else in the world, for you folks. And tonight, we have Virgo on the midheaven, which is the house of career. So I would expect that those of you who are Virgos or have strong Virgo energy who are on this call are going to be really thinking about what they want out of life, what they want in terms of career changes or shifts, or what their next step is. Or maybe you're feeling a calling inside and you want to know what's the best way to find that calling or step into it. This is a real important part of the chart. This midheaven is like where we situate ourselves when we're taking our next step into who we want to be next year. So what's your specific question, Karen?
I don't know where to focus for my spiritual growth. I like crystals, oracle cards, astrology, numerology, and I feel so overwhelmed by all of it. I don't know where I should be focusing.
Oh, thank you for this wonderful opening. First thing I want to say is, you're going to laugh with me in a moment. The first thing I want to say is that if you happen to be a Pisces or a Virgo, any of the mutable signs, but particularly those two, you are being so powerfully affected by Neptune right now. And Neptune is saying you're not going to be happy doing anything unless it feels like it's got a higher purpose. Okay? That's Neptune. Neptune has us never feeling like we're seeing things completely. It has us feeling confused and lost until we focus on something spiritual. And then all of a sudden everything gets clear, doesn't it? Okay? That's
Okay.
Neptune. Now, Neptune is also saying, learn to follow your intuition. If it feels right, move in that direction. Now, the reason I was giggling when you said, I don't really know what direction, I'm interested in crystals, and I'm interested in numerology, and I'm interested in astrology, and what do I do, Sandy? And I giggled because I know you're getting this Neptune transit, which incidentally is going to last until about 2028. It's not going around away very soon. So you're going to enjoy it for a long time to come. When I was having the same transit, I still am to some degree, but not directly. When I was having the exact same transit you are, a lot of years ago, is when I had my own personal major spiritual awakening. It's when I went from being a safety engineer to being a psychic, essentially. Kind of a major shift. Well, guess what? I was like you, studying everything at the same time, because that's what we mutable signs do. I'm a Gemini. And so I was studying numerology, and I was studying tarot, and I was studying astrology, and I was studying music, notes, sound, vibration, crystals. Yes, sounds familiar, right? Dreams. And I was feeling like there's got to be a common thread that pulls all of this stuff together. What should I really be doing? How can I make it all work together? I feel like I need it all. I've been attracted to it all, but what do I do with it?
Right.
I started having dreams at night because back then there were no books available on the Kabbalah. I started having dreams at night that I was in a classroom and I was not by myself. I was with maybe 300 other people, and we were being taught the Kabbalah while we were sleeping. And it was right after that tons of books came out on the Western mystical Kabbalah, would you believe? We were all in that classroom, I know it, because we all learned the same way and we all talked the same language, all the people who were in that classroom. Well, I came out of that and I knew that I had to learn the Kabbalah. And back then there were no books on it except the ones written in Hebrew, so it was a little rough to study. I'm not Jewish, but I went to school on the other planes while I was sleeping, and I got this information, and guess what? We're teaching the Kabbalah Pathworking class. You heard me say at the beginning of this session, at the beginning of July. I think that's why you're here tonight, because you needed to hear that. On the Kabbalah, you find numerology. On the Kabbalah, you find tarot. On the Kabbalah, you find government, you find religion, you find art, you find African drumming, you find martial arts. It all has a place. The Kabbalah is life itself. And every single thing that you learn and that you study falls into place on the Kabbalah. Okay? I think that's why you're here. That's probably the thing you needed to hear. Meanwhile, I'm going to suggest that you get my Kabbalah Pathworking book. And I'm also going to suggest you get a book called Simplified Magic by Ted Andrews, which gives a very good rendition of the Western mystical Kabbalah, easily written. And in my book, the first chapter is the one that's going to give you the most help right now. And things are going to start to fall into place like you wouldn't believe. All of a sudden, you're going to realize, my studies haven't been random. I really am following a path. I just couldn't pull it together. And the Kabbalah is going to give you the roadmap to do it.
Okay.
Okay? Thanks for your
Okay, thank you.
Not only did you give me an opportunity to talk about my favorite class coming up, but I think it's going to be important to you and probably everybody else on this call if they're interested in taking that next step in their own spiritual unfoldment. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
And Lisa, who's next?
Well, I'm going to see if I can get Kristen. Kristen, it says you're self-muted. Can you unmute? Yes, no, we've been having difficulty. A while ago, she couldn't even hear you talking. So,
Okay.
We'll go down to Erica. Erica, can you unmute yourself?
Hello.
Hello, Erica. I hear you.
Hi. Okay, so I'm a Virgo. I live in California, and I'm grateful for a Sunday off.
Oh my, you sound like me.
Yeah.
But have you noticed, and this is tongue in cheek, have you noticed that you were going to take the day off today? Was it really a day off?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm pointing this out because this is something that is happening right now to all the mutable signs, not just you. Again, I'm going to point to this Jupiter at 23 degrees and the Mars at 23 degrees. My friends, if you are a mutable sign and you have survived through tonight, you're probably missing half the hair on your head from pulling it out. Life has been a wee little bit crazy for us mutable signs, okay? Because no matter how well you are planning and organizing, someone in the family or a friend or even the traffic, something is throwing a monkey wrench into every single thing that you do, so that you just you're going in five directions at the same time and barely managing to stay afloat, and then wondering how you got to the end of the day. Correct?
Yes, pretty much.
After tonight, I want to point this out. This is 23 degrees and 22 minutes. This is 23 degrees and 28 minutes. It's just passed. Okay. Mars, you're getting an astrology lesson, folks. Mars is pure energy. It's a pow. It's that kind of punch energy. All it is energy, pure, intense energy. And here it's been opposing Jupiter, and Jupiter expands everything it touches. So the good part of that is you've had enough energy to deal with all this craziness that's come around. The bad part is that you've barely been able to keep up with yourself. Okay?
Hmm.
The good part is this transit is past, thank God. And so things in your life are going to start calming down. And because you are a Virgo, you are the particular sign that's at the apex of this T-square, where all of the stress and all of the energy and all of the I need, help me has been pointing at you. Okay. So yeah, you were happy to get a day's rest, and I'm sure it wasn't the rest you required, but tomorrow might be an easier day at work. Okay?
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so what's your specific question?
Excuse me. Okay, so I wanted to know do you see any major business changes?
Yeah, I do. And I think that I'm going to be talking a little bit about the past here for a minute. I think you've kind of cast your net in a lot of different areas, reaching out, and things haven't borne fruit. And so there's been a lot of kind of disillusionment in dealing with other people that let you down because you were doing your part of things and they weren't doing their part of things. Well, you seem to have partnered with somebody or connected with somebody right now and it's a female energy. That's all I can tell you about. I can't say much about the particular person. If it's a guy who's very soft and sensitive. It's a female energy. And I feel like there can be some really good brainstorming here, some really fun things to get started with career-wise, and also that this is going to be very lucrative.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah.
I feel
That just
we're
happened.
moving in a good direction. So that's exciting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So
good luck to you. And things
thank you.
Better.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Cannonballs about to come out of the cannon. Finally, yes.
Yeah. Yes.
Good job.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye now. And Lisa, who was the last person that you tried to unmute and couldn't? Because I did pull some cards for her. So even if you can't unmute her, she was projecting so strongly that I really had to disconnect to just, read our last caller. So the one behind her, I need to go back and read that information.
That would be Kristen.
Yeah, Kristen. Still can't get her open, huh? Okay. But I have some information for Kristen anyway, so if she can hear me or later on YouTube, she can listen to the recording. There really has been a need for quite some time to let go of something where you've been putting a whole lot of work into and getting nothing back out of. Now, I'm saying that deliberately in a nebulous way because part of that has to do with it being work related and part of it is relationship related. And you think that you can't handle things without that situation or without that person. And so you're holding on for fear of loss. And what my guides are telling me is that you don't have to have that worry at all. Because when you do let go and move on, and that could be a relationship of some sort in your life and also a work situation, when you let go and move on, you are going to be better off financially and in every other way. And that probably is the reason you weren't able to get through verbally, because this might have been something that you didn't want to, to be able to put your voice to. Okay? So hopefully you'll hear it on the replay, and there's your information that you were looking for. And Lisa, who is next?
All righty, let's go down to Michelle. Michelle, can you unmute yourself?
Hello.
Hey there.
Hi. Thank you, Sandy. Thank you, Lisa. My name is Michelle. I'm from Nebraska, and I'm an Aries, and I really am very grateful for the groups of people I have been involved with recently on the spiritual path, and I participate in the Sweat Lodge, Native American Sweat Lodge, and it's phenomenal. So I'm thankful for all the souls that I'm meeting through those opportunities, and they really do enlighten me, and the sharing of love is amazing. But my only question, I know you're going to cover Aries, is really, I haven't heard you talk much about Aries tonight, so I guess I'm interested in hearing what you got. I heard your horoscope prediction for the month of May, and you said something kind of shocking in there for me, so it really made me perk up, and now I'm kind of on the lookout, so I'm just really interested in that, and anything else you thought you could share that would be helpful.
Well, I have no idea which part of that prediction shook your tree, but I hope it shook it in a good way. Okay. Let me just say that here you are down here in the fifth house, which talks about all the things that are going on in your life right now are really waking up your creativity and also the romantic side of you. Now, Aries is a fire sign, but the cardinal signs in the zodiac are Aries and Cancer and Capricorn and Libra. And so all of you cardinal signs are going to all resonate a little bit to what I'm saying here as far as the waking up of the creativity and the waking up of the romantic nature. There's a healing going on for you right now. Healing of your roots. That's what I'm hearing of your roots. And I don't know if that means family or where you've come from geographically, but healing relative to the roots. And there is an ability to kind of step, not just through friends, but through what you're doing, what's at hand in your life, to step into, I'm hearing the word joy. And that's not just because of what you were saying before, but in so many other respects. You're talking about the Sweat Lodge and the friends that you're making, but I feel like this stretches out into other aspects of your life too. It's as if you moved into a different locality or location where all of a sudden you're starting to see the world around you in a way that you have not seen it before. And so this waking up that's going on. Now, this is your Aries sun sign in this fifth house. By the way, there's also a lot having to do with kids here. I don't know if they're your kids or if they're, children people that you're nurturing and giving of yourself to. That would also constitute that. But Aries is the apex of a T-square that involves Cancer in the 8th house, which is money and finance, and Capricorn in the 2nd house, which is your money, your finances, your foundation, maybe the establishment and growth of your own business. Okay? And this creates a T-square that exits into the sign Libra. Partnership is absolutely required. It's imperative. And this is for all the cardinal signs right now. You've got so much on your plate. Things that you've been working hard on are starting to come to fruition, but they cannot come to fruition unless you're working with the balance of another party, of another person, or working through a person or a business. So that support system is absolutely imperative if you're going to be able to make happen what you want to have happen. So what is your specific question?
Well, thank you, Sandy. I guess it's more of a thought as opposed to sharing. I recently got involved with pendulum readings on my own, myself. And I have, as a result, I have discovered what my spirit guide's name is. His name's Philip, and he's the only one I have. And so I guess my curiosity is piqued as to, are your guides able to speak to my guide, and am I on track here?
Oh, yes, you most certainly are on track. I'm going to give you a word of caution, though. I'm glad that Philip came through because he's a guide he's telling me he's a guide that's going to be a shield. I'm hearing the word shield. I'm also hearing a lot of words connected to you. That means that you're telepathic and you're going to get a lot of information comes through in full words. Okay. That you'll notice when you re-listen to this recording, with different people, I get different ways of information coming through. It might be colors, it might be feelings, and it might be very emotional. With you, it's a lot of words. I'm literally hearing the words. And he's showing himself with armor. So he's coming through and he's protecting you. And let me tell you, that's a great guide. And folks, what I'm about to say is for everyone. When you use certain forms of divination, pendulum is one of them, scrying is another one. When you use a form of divination that you're opening up to what's out there, okay, tell me the answer to this. You're opening yourself to powers on the other planes that sometimes could be negative. So you need protection. Okay. So if you're going to work with your pendulum in divination, and when I say that, pendulum can be used for radionics, i.e. kind of like finding water with a pendulum. When you're testing energy fields, that's radionics. You don't need protection for that. But you definitely need protection when you're asking questions. And I think it's great because Philip came through and he's saying, I'm the shield. So you're one of those lucky people who didn't get yourself into trouble because your guide came through with a shield for you. That still doesn't mean you shouldn't be protecting yourself, though. So learn protection. I have a whole slew of protection tips for free on YouTube. Study them, use them. Okay? Be protected when you ask your questions. Okay? And that way you can save his energy for other things. Okay?
Right.
Well, and the answer is absolutely yes. My guides, that's the way I work. When I'm working with my clients, I work with astrology. I also work with tarot cards. I love this tarot card. And, I'm constantly in channel, though, getting information from my guides. They're the ones who are giving me the information, who are talking to your guides. And the beauty of my guides is that they're talking to all of your guides, everybody here who's on the call. So you never know if you're getting your question answered, even if you're not the one who had your hand raised. You'll notice they also had me pick up that card. That card in the tarot talks about a marriage. So they're also showing this card, which is behind you, and that talks about a divorce. So, there are a lot of people on the call tonight, and you're one of them, who has divorced yourself from a person or a place or a past situation. There is still some grief there. There's still some feeling of, wow, I'm really letting go. I'm not sure that I wanted to let go. Yeah, I needed to let go. There's that kind of insecurity. But what they're showing is that marriage, and this is not just, it could be to a physical person, it could be moving in with someone, it could be you're learning to work with divination and finding that psychic part of yourself. That could be the marriage, you see. So I can't see specifically what the marriage is about. I know that you have left something behind that caused heartache, but that by leaving it behind, you've arrived in a situation where you're going to become whole. To me, that's what marriage is. It's wholeness. And they're also telling me that there's someone or maybe people from your past that you should not be telling too much about what you're doing right now, because what you're doing right now needs to be allowed the freedom to grow and for you to explore and for you to delight in this newness. And if you confide in some of the people from the past, they're going to burst that bubble. They're going to try to pull you back into an old way of being that no longer works for you.
Wow, you are just words from an angel.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you. And I do have the purest of intent. Yes.
Yep.
Thank you. God bless
Thank you so much. And I think I have time for one more caller, Lisa.
All righty. I have one more caller for you. Sandra B.
Yay, Sandra B.
Unmute yourself, Sandra, because I can't. Can you unmute yourself, Sandra? Uh, says you haven't put.
Yeah, you may have to move on to somebody else.
Sorry, Sam. Just says you hadn't put your PIN number in. All right. Then I'm going to go up to Camille. Camille, you are unmuted.
Hi, Sandy.
Hello there.
Hey, this is Camille from Daytona Beach. I'm one of your former students.
Yeah.
I'm very grateful. I'm a Gemini, and I'm just very grateful for the peaceful, comfortable family life I have, excluding the problem that I'm having. I'm really concerned about this worsening health anxiety that I have. It started when my son was diagnosed with brain cancer in 2006. He died in 2007. Here we are, 2019, and it's really evolved into a monster. Every little thing that goes wrong with my kids, my husband, my mother, myself, my mind just goes crazy with these thoughts of, the most terrible outcomes.
Mm-hmm.
I just wonder if you can see, is there any hope for this getting better for me? I do, I'm always trying to be in the present, and I can pull myself out of it, getting in the present, but I just get sucked right back in.
Well, guess what? You're not going to like what I'm going to tell you, but I'm going to tell it to you anyway.
Okay.
This will not get better unless you make it better. Did you hear that?
Yeah.
So it's not like some angel is going to come around and say, okay, you're healthy now. It's not that you're going to suddenly discover the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow and you're no longer having any of these issues, okay? You are the one who has created these issues, and therefore you are the only one who can eliminate these issues, okay? So first of all, you've got to accept self-responsibility for it.
Yeah.
Now that we've said that, got that nastiness out of the way, let me explain something about what's going on with you. Whenever you go through trauma, and folks, if you have or know someone who has PTSD, because that's really what you're talking about, my friend, you have PTSD, okay? And when we go through traumas, we human beings have a way of attaching our craziness, our loss, our fear, our worry, or when we get pushed over the edge, we have a way of attaching that to something. Well, probably around the time that your son passed, it wasn't just his diagnosis and his passing. By the way, my sincere condolences. Terrible, terrible, terrible to lose a child. We're just not. That's not supposed to happen. It's not in our rule book. Nobody's prepared for anybody's death, but certainly mothers are not ever prepared to lose their children.
Right.
That's not the way it's supposed to happen. And it wasn't in your rule book, but I guarantee you around the time he passed, there were a whole lot of other things that were going on in your life that were not happy either. Okay? So, and I'm not diminishing his death, but what I'm trying to say, if it was just his death, your mind would have been able to cope with that, okay? And you would have got past that and moved forward, and it would have been really rough, but there were a whole lot of other little things that were happening at the same time. And so your brain did what brains do. It passed the buck. It put all of this stuff that's going to create fear and panic and oh my gods and freaking out and brain freezes. It put all this stuff and it attached it to health. Only it might have started out with just your son's health, but then it expanded to your health and it expanded to your husband's health and to, good God, it could expand to my health too. Okay. It's literally like the monster that keeps growing, isn't it?
Exactly. Yes.
That's how PTSD works. Okay. And anybody who's been through a war or who's been through a whole long series of accidents or it can come from one traumatic accident or it can come from, it's usually most common when it comes from a whole series of incidents that your brain links into one thing. So, accept that, yes, you're dealing with PTSD, That's what a doctor would diagnose this as. And yes, guess what? It's fixable. But it's not going to get fixed by mana dropping from heaven. It's going to get fixed probably by your working with a psychologist who's going to give you the tools that you have to practice. When you said that you can rip your brain out of it, but then it happens again,
Yeah.
understand that. Think of your brain as having created this fight or flight reflex to move you to safety. So initially, it was a survival mechanism. But like all survival mechanisms, after you used it once or twice, it now got in the way and it's now ruling your life and causing you trouble, isn't it?
Very much so.
So first you need to do is to recognize that your brain in this instance is the bad guy. Okay? And second thing is, you are not your brain, are you? Your brain is a computer. It's a highly functioning computer. You have a higher part of yourself. The brain is supposed to work for you. It is not supposed to control you. But your brain got control through your panic attack. Turn that off, yep. Your brain got control through your panic attacks, and it liked the control. So now, every time it gets the tiniest little bit stimulated, as this conversation itself is doing, isn't it? Okay. And everybody on the call can feel her starting to go into a panic attack because, oh my God, what Sandy's saying might take the control from the brain. Oh my God, gotta grab that control back. I'm the only one who can protect her. You see how that works?
Yeah.
So recognize that when your brain acts out like that, take that deep breath and say, that's only my brain. That's not who I am. And let it go. Release it. Okay? And initially, it's going to be very hard to do that because you have to remember, you see, that you're not your brain. But over time, if every single time that happens, okay, let it go. Next, look at my hand, pushing that energy away. Next, you see that?
Yeah.
Okay? Over time, if you do that every time, it's going to get easier and easier to do, and you'll eventually be the one in control, not your brain. Folks, your brain isn't supposed to control you. Your emotions aren't supposed to control you. Even your physical body isn't supposed to control you. Those are all components of who you are. They're not who you are they? Okay? That's something to think about, and I think it's a really great place for me to end our session this evening. I know that you can heal this, but it's going to work. Okay?
Thank you very much. Thank you.
You're welcome. Good luck to you.
Yes.
And folks, I want to remind you that my tarot special is still on through the end of May. A great reduction for it if you want to study it now. You don't get me live on the calls, but what you do is you get my live guidance in the Facebook room, and you also get it me guiding you by answering your questions right on the program. So the program itself is pre-recorded, and I'm involved with answering your questions directly. Now, the Kabbalah, I am part of that program, so you get a combination of pre-recorded lessons and Sandy's input for discussing everything, plus the Facebook group. That begins in July, and I'm in love with both of those programs. So I hope that you end up taking them both, or that I at least see you on one of them. And don't forget my reading special for May. If you take the tarot program, that special is my reading special is 20% off. There's a code online for that, and you will get everything I can possibly give you about your psychic ability and how to tap into it and make it work for you in the best possible way. Don't forget, our next psychic hour is June 30th. And if I didn't get to your question tonight, if you put it into my mailbox or Lisa's mailbox by 9 p.m. tomorrow evening on May 6th, remember you have had to be on the call, live on the call to do that. I will be glad to answer that one question for you. Folks, I've enjoyed tonight. I'm so grateful that you have all been here. And I'm wishing you a wonderful, happy super duper on this day. Good night to you all. Take my love. Good night.